What's up, guys? My name is SnyperSama, but you can call me Sniper. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be doing something just a little bit different. Today, we are going to be doing a progressionary build. This is HR1 to HR100 and above. Now, the reason we're doing a build like this and the reason we're doing a video like this is because I had a lot of questions in my YouTube comments, especially over the last 2 weeks, really since the beginning of the year started, of what do you use when you're lower? All of the builds that I'm making now and all of the builds that I've made in the past, they were progressionary pieces. They were builds that I created at the very beginning when we first started fighting Arkfeld and Gore and they were the monsters to fight. Then Title Update 1 came out, Mizitsune was released, Title Update 2, 3, and then now 4 back in, November, December of last year, 2025. There's a lot of people that might have gotten this game for Christmas. Maybe they were waiting for the updates to be pushed through, and they play on PC and they can actually play the game again because, let's be real, it wasn't in the greatest spot when it came to hardware when it first dropped. There were not a ton of us that were actually able to keep the game open and running without it running like doo-doo. So, that being said, thank you to all of you in the comments specifically asking for builds like this, because I don't mind. I took a little bit of time. I ended up planning everything out a little bit in a way that I can showcase to you guys what I would do if I were to go back to the very beginning and start a new character. Most importantly, though, make sure you guys are liking, commenting, and subscribing. Because of the updates that are coming with Monster Hunter, we only have one more in a couple of weeks before it's the end of this game's beginning life cycle. We know that there should be a DLC eventually. The problem is that key word, eventually. Because of that, I've been really struggling with trying to figure out what the next avenue I should take is. So make sure you guys are letting me know in the comments. Make sure you guys are liking, commenting, subscribing to let me, let my editor, and the YouTube algorithm know if you guys are enjoying it or not. That being said, let's get into it. Now, the way I have this set up, we are going to go through HR 1 through 100, okay? What I am going to do is I'm going to break it down in a way that makes sense for new players. Now, if you have just started playing Monster Hunter, you'll know that there is a ton of new monsters that you're going to be fighting. However, what you may not know is that you don't need to use all of their armor. And in fact, most of their armor is pretty bad. You don't need to go for it, which is why I concocted what I would do in every situation from HR 0 or 1 all the way up to 100, starting with HR 1. HR 1, we are going to be rocking the Bone Gear. Now, the reason we're rocking Bone Gear is because it comes with a myriad of skills, and eventually you'll get these decorations to go with them. Okay, so on our helmet, because this is all alpha variant, we have stun resist and speed eating, marathon runner stun resist, marathon runner speed eating, marathon runner, and then stun resist. This is going to just make it to where when you are using your consumables, because at the very beginning of the game, you may not have a lot. Free meal and speed eating are going to make it to where when you activate them, not only are they quick activated, but there's a chance that you don't use them every time, which is where free meal comes into play. Okay. On top of that, Marathon Runner is going to make it a little bit easier for you to learn how to play the game. Marathon Runner is going to make it to where when you are dashing, when you are dodging, you take a little less stamina drain. Little less stamina drain means you can make more mistakes without getting caught in the open. Granted, some people are going to say that that is counterintuitive because you want people to learn at the base level, but I understand that Monster Hunter can be a difficult game, meaning this is a good way to circumvent that in a way that gives you a little bit of an edge to be in a better spot. And then last but not least is we have Divine Blessing. Divine Blessing at level 3 is going to reduce damage taken when it activates by 50%, meaning you can get hit more without being scared. Okay, for all of these builds, I'm also going to preface, we are using basic weapons, and that's because the weapons you use are going to vary. Especially if you're new to the game, you're going to be trying out different things. I'm not going to give you a baseline, hey, this is what weapon you should use. This is all about the armor, that way you have free variability on anything. Same with talismans, because talismans are going to adjust very, very quickly the more you continue. So, that is HR 1 to 6, the Bone Gear Alpha. Next up is we have a good chunk. And this is Guardian Ebony Gear. Now, Guardian Ebony Gear is really, really nice. The reason Guardian Ebony Gear is so nice is because you are going to be able to get some very, very good perks. Perks included Burst. Burst is one of the best skills in the game. The way it works is as follows. You will keep doing damage. The more damage you do, the better it is to keep this applied. Basically what happens is after a couple of hits, you get this timer. This timer starts, and while that timer is active, you get an increase to your raw attack, which is the number right here, this 110 that you can see, and you'll get a bonus to your element, whatever that element may be. Now, burst is very, very easy to keep running. All you have to do is attack. Very, very nice. But on top of that, you also get earplugs, and you will get burst boost because that's the full set of armor you're using. Burst boost 2 is going to give you plus 18 raw when it's active, and is going to last even longer, meaning you're doing more damage. Now, the caveat with this setup is you should be a little more familiar with the game. You should be starting to feel yourself a little bit. Feel like you're hitting that flow state. You're going through and you are sacrificing some of the defense for offense, okay? The reason I would recommend this specifically, we still have Divine Blessing. We still have earplugs, which is going to make it to where you don't have to worry about roars and getting interrupted. The Bleeding Resist doesn't really apply, but the Divine Blessing is still there. And Burst and Maximum Might are going to give you Affinity and a ton of raw damage. Granted, it is dependent on whether you have Mighty Jewels. I have them just because, I mean, I'm Hunter rank 500. I'm remaking this on my character instead of on a new character. I would recommend you search for the Mighty Jewels. If you don't have Mighty Jewels, you could go Counter-Strike. You could, honestly, you could put in whatever you want. The idea behind it is that you are starting to develop as a hunter and put yourself in a position to where you're willing to do more damage and take a couple more hits to push out more damage, okay? Next up, we have 20 to 25, and this is not a huge upgrade. I would say it's more of a side grade, and it's something that you can look into should you be a little more worried about going full offensive. This build is going to be Guardian Fulgur Anjanath in the beta variant. You do have to worry or wait until you are HR 25 to start getting this gear, but is extremely, extremely good. It comes with a myriad of skills. So, first up, we have the Fulgur Helm. The helmet itself comes with Agitator. Agitator, when the monster gets enraged, you get an affinity bonus and an attack bonus. You'll get Maximum Might, which is just an affinity bonus if your stamina is full. And you'll get Stamina Surge and Coalescence. Stamina Surge is basically just, you get your stamina back a little faster. Coalescence is going to increase your elemental damage when you finish dealing with some sort of blight. Okay, which is just an elemental status that applies to your character, your hunter. But on top of that, you'll get something called Fulgur Anjanath's Will, or Second Wind 2. This is just going to give you a stamina gauge. Not only is the stamina gauge really, really nice for taking advantage of things like Maximum Might, where your stamina needs to be full, but it's going to mean that you can dodge more without having to worry as much. So, if you were struggling a little bit with all of the offense that came from the Ebony gear, you can transition into this. I would say this is still a better gear set. You get Coalescence, which is just going to do better status and better elemental damage. Stamina Surge, which is going to make it a little easier for you to keep moving. Divine Blessing, once again. Maximum Might, which is just going to allow you to keep hitting good hits because you are going to have more affinity. Affinity just being crit. And you will have Counter-Strike now. Counter-Strike is really good because it means every time you get hit, you're just going to increase the amount of damage that you can use back and hit the monster with. Okay? Now, on to the next portion of this. There is variables. Now, these variables dictate kind of what way you play. If you are playing any weapon minus bow and dual blades, I recommend you go with Lagiacrus and Gore. Now, once you get to HR 25, you can start fighting some of the monsters that came out with some of the other title updates, as well as some of the hard monsters that came from the base game. Most notably, Arkfeld, Gore, and then you have Lagiacrus, Mizitsune, which doesn't have the best gear, which is why it's not included, but you also have Seregios. Seregios is specifically for bow and dual blades, at least in my opinion, but we'll get to that in a second. As long as you are not using bow or dual blades, this is the best setup, in my opinion. This is going to be Lagiacrus Helm Beta, Male Beta, Van Braces Beta, and the Gore Coil Beta and Gore Greaves Beta. The reason we are rocking a combination set is because you are starting to develop as a hunter in a more advanced way. Okay, you are going to start fighting things that are harder. You're going to start fighting things that are going to test your mettle. They're going to challenge you, meaning you want to take advantage of everything. In this build, because we have multiple pieces of set bonus gear, we get to take advantage of two different skills. One of which being Leviathan's Fury. This is going to give you a plus 15% affinity when it's procs, and it's just going to do a little extra thunder damage. It's only a little thunder damage. That's not the great part. Honestly, Leviathan's Fury is a pretty miss skill. It's not the greatest set bonus skill, but a little extra damage, a little more affinity every once in a while didn't hurt anybody. You're not losing anything by using it. The big one is Gormagala's Tyranny. Gormagala's Tyranny infects you with Frenzy when you are fighting big monsters. Basically what happens is you get this little purple bar at the top of your screen right above your health bar that gives you Frenzy. The way you clear Frenzy is by attacking the monster. Once you have cleared Frenzy, you will get something called, or you will end up clearing it, and you will get Affinity bonus. That Affinity bonus is plus 15%, and it lasts for quite a while. Including the gear that we have here, you also get Antivirus. Antivirus is good because once you clear the initial Frenzy, you get to activate Antivirus. With both of them simultaneously active, you get plus 25% affinity, which is your critical damage. On top of that, you have Leviathan's Fury. The additional 15% here gives you a whopping 40% affinity just from these skills, meaning you are hitting nearly half of your hits as crits on average, on paper, okay? Now, as far as the rest of the gear goes, because of the skills that they have and because of how effective they end up being, we're able to have Weakness Exploit level 5, Maximum Might level 3, Divine Blessing, Stamina Surge, and Antivirus very, very easily, plus Evade Extender and Burst. Now, the way I would set this up is as follows. Tenderizer, Tenderizer, Tenderizer. This is going to give you the Weakness Exploit. Weakness Exploit is really, really good because at level 5, you're going to get 30% increased affinity. If you remember, I just said we had 40% plus a 30%. We're at 70%, meaning most of your attacks are crits now. Okay. Now, on top of that, you have Maximum Might. Maximum Might is going to give you 30%. 70% plus the 30%, every single one of your hits is a crit now. This is the first type of build where you are really getting to see everything synergize with each other. Okay, not to mention you have enough decoration slots for protection. Once again, these protection jewels, just really nice. Divine Blessing is great. You do need to slot in 2 Sane jewels. If you do not have at least one of them, make sure that you are trying to get them. Pay attention to all the level 1 decos that you are getting. And you have Chain Jewel, which is going to give us Burst. I don't know why it's called something different. It's just what it's called. Okay. Now, next up is we have the Bow Dual Blades combo. Bold Dual Blades is because they're so stamina required. You need a lot of stamina management to use these to their fullest effect, which is why Seregios still gets some of the spotlight. Seregios gets to take advantage of Adrenaline Rush and Constitution. Now, Adrenaline Rush is really, really good because when you get that perfect dodge, and if you've been playing Dual Blades or Bow, you already know Discerning Dodge, or the perfect dodges, is part of the kit. Meaning, not only do you get their innate buffs and bonuses, but you also get the plus 30 raw attack from hitting the perfect dodge. Not to mention, you get Agitator, which is really, really nice at level 3, just gives you a little more raw attack. As far as the decorations go, we go 1, 2, 3 Chain Jewels for Burst, and then we go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Physique Jewels. We have 1 Growth Jewel. This is just going to give us an increase to our attack and our defense if the hunts start going on a little longer, which is more than likely going to happen. We have 1 Shockproof in case you're playing with other people. If you're not playing with other people, you go ahead and go with Adaptability. And last but not least, we have the Refresh Jewel for Stamina Surge. It's only 1 level, but because you are using the 2 most stamina heavy weapons, you want to make sure that you have at least something. Okay. Next up, there's a little bit less to go through. And that's because you've got 2 choices. Do you want the easy route or the hard route? Easy route at HR 41 plus is going to be just going and beating Zoh Shia. Zoh Shia has some really, really good armor and was the first thing to really break the meta. And the reason for it is because you've got so much good value coming from it. So it would just be all Numinous gear in the beta variant. As far as decorations, it'd be a chain, a flare, a flare, a flare. You'll have 1 counter, 2 counter, 1 shockproof, 1 recovery, and 1 phoenix. All in all, this is going to make you just kind of a wall, truth be told, at this level at least, okay? Not only do you have Agitator for the attack and the affinity bonuses, you have Flare to make it easier to inflict wounds, you have Counter Strike to hit the monster harder back if you get hit, Recovery Speed, which is just going to naturally heal you, mixed in with the Zoh Shia's Pulse, which is always going to heal you anyways. This is just going to activate faster. Not to mention, you have Elemental Absorption, meaning if you get hit by an elemental attack, you are going to increase your resistance to it even more, turning you into a bigger wall. Include that with Coalescence, you're just going to give you more element attack. It's crazy. Include that with Burst, and you're going to increase your attack and your elemental attack again. Again, these builds are going to be very generalist builds to make sure that you guys have an idea of what to aim for when you hit different milestones in the game. Okay, next up is the hard variant, and that's because Omega, base Omega, is also HR 41. Now, the issue with Omega is that he is much harder than Zoh Shia is, but he's got a lot better gear. And at least in my opinion, this is the way you want to go if you have been using Greatsword. And that's because Greatsword really gets to take advantage of these, especially if you're using the Omega Greatsword. And this is all going to be Bale gear. Bale, Alpha, everything. This is going to give you some insanely good perks. Resentment, which is whenever you have red health, whenever you tank a chunk of damage, you're able to heal a little bit. This is going to activate, giving you plus 25 raw. Latent Power, whenever you take 130 damage in a hunt or X amount of time has passed, you are going to increase your affinity and reduce your stamina depletion. You have Counter Strike for even more attack, Maximum Might for more affinity, Recovery Speed to get your red health back, and Constitution for the stamina. Plus Burst, Flare, and you get something called Soul of the Dark Knight. Soul of the Dark Knight allows you to activate the special action, Blackest Night. Blackest Night is pretty much just a counter that drains your entire health bar to 0, doubles your actual defense number down here, so it would go up to about 880. And then, on top of all of that, you are going to literally recover all of your health and do a crap ton of extra damage thanks to Resentment. And you're going to heal it all thanks to Recovery Speed. It's a very, very nice skill, but essentially you're playing with fire. Okay? So, you have two choices once you get to HR 41. You know, the easy way or the hard way. Last but not least is HR 50 to 100. This is where I recommend most people end up really taking a look and figuring out what kind of builds you want to rock. The reason for it is because there's a lot more variability now. And once you get past HR 100, you've got even more. But that's when you can look at the rest of my channel and find builds that work for you. Meaning, we're not going to discuss it. All of my builds now, especially as of recently, are HR 100 plus. As far as HR 50 to 100 though, 4-piece Arch-Tempered Ray Down. The reason you rock 4-piece Arch-Tempered Ray Down is going to give you something that you haven't seen yet called Lord Soul. Lord Soul is going to give you a 5% damage increase or attack increase and is going to lower your defense by 5%. But it is also going to give you Moxie. Moxie is basically a skill that says when you get hit for say 50 damage, the skill is at 40 HP. If you get hit with any attack that does over 40 HP, you will be left at 1 HP and you will survive, meaning it'll save you from a cart. And if that activates, it'll just boost your elemental resistances and your defense, okay? But the reason we're rocking 4-piece Ray Down is mainly for the Ray Down's voltage, and because it's just got better skills than the Uth Duna gear, which is the other Arch-Tempered monster you can fight at HR 50. The other two, Jindahad and New Udra, aren't until HR 100 plus, which is where I said you can just look at the rest of my channel for those builds, okay? So, you are going to be using 1, 2, 3, 4 Tenderizer Jewels, and then the rest of it's just going to be Protection Jewels. Alternatively, depending on what kind of decorations you have at this stage of the game, you could opt for Agitator instead of Tenderizer, but Tenderizer ends up being more valuable in this case because you are able to take better advantage of the affinity bonuses. Because with Weakness Exploit and Latent Power, Maximum Might all together, Weakness Exploit, Maximum Might, that's 60% affinity when active. Latent Power plus Weakness Exploit is 80%, and then when you have all three, you have over 100% affinity. I know this is a long video. I'm really sorry that this was literally a 20-minute video. This was for all of you that are in the YouTube comments that are trying to figure out the best course of action while you are playing. This is the stuff that, looking back on, I would rock if what was going on. I hope you guys enjoyed my 0 to Hero Proficiency video. That's going to do it for today's builds, I guess. I'll see all of you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys are interested in me, interested in playing other games like me, make sure that you guys go check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/SnyperSama and join the Discord, which is linked in the YouTube description. I'll see all of you in the next one. Farewell.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.